Fear on the High Seas. A serialized gay romance taking place on the Caribbean cruise liner, the Majestic Coral. Sail with me as I bring everyone on a Caribbean adventure with romance, humor, and possible destruction. Penned by Ryland Mason, narrated by me, Brian Shepard.
Chapter 10. Eric. Watching him leave the ship with the look of sadness and worry was the worst feeling Eric has ever felt. It was like he was abandoning Justin. His chance to leave the ship safe with Justin had been put to a halt as Devine once again intervened. Now that Eric knew who Devine was and the connection as to why he was dead set on sinking the ship and taking Eric with it. You're going to blame me for Charlotte's death when she was an officer who was doing her duty by listening to her superior officer? You're right. I should have been the one who went down to try and save the ship. But what you don't know is that she indeed came across passengers who were scared, and she helped them out. By the time I went to find her, the ship was taking on water. She was trapped. I didn't get to her in time. I'm so sorry, Eric said, as he was trying to reason with Devine. Stalling, more like it. Devine was unaware that someone else was working behind the scenes to try and save the ship. Stop talking, Captain, and it's no use, as I'm tired of hearing your mouth. Keep walking. It's time for me to reach my boat and get off this thing. Not with you, I'm afraid, Devine said as he walked behind Eric with a gun in his hand. Making their way to the stern, which was where the last life raft was, the Devine would take, leaving Eric nothing, or so he would think. It seemed to get steeper as they walked towards the back of the ship, Devine pushing Eric to have a seat on the bench and not to move while he opened the life raft on deck. Eric knew that there would only be so much time before he, too, would have to exit the ship. Hopefully he didn't die first. But let's try their plan first. Chief Gunner was not in the engine room when Devine first started to take over the ship. Someone was sneaking some whiskey from his flask in the bathroom down deck. He always told his wife it's what kept him alive. Now he has proof. The chief was the one who opened the door for Eric. However, he had to wait before Devine left the deck. Hearing everything from a room down from where Devine was talking, he would wait and get Eric out before he drowned. So, while Eric dealt with Devine top deck, Chief Gunner was below deck trying to secure the ship, which might be a fool's mission. Realizing that there was no more that could be done, as the ship was slowing to a stop, Gunner made his way towards top deck, keeping out of sight of Devine, who was still talking, waving his gun around in front of Eric. Eric just looking at him as if he really wanted to harm him. Devine must have asked a question. Well, Captain, I'm waiting. With no answer to Devine's question, because he was thinking of someone who better be safe and sound, because if he's not, I'm going to tear this guy's limbs off, was then met with a whack upside the head with the butt of the gun. Blood was now running down Eric's face, which now had him even more stewing. Oh my, that's going to leave a mark. Well, Captain, I do believe it's time for me to get off. I have a feeling that if I don't kill you myself, you'll just pop back up somewheres and I can't have loose ends. You still go down with the ship, while Ashley and I take the insurance money from this sad heap of metal and live what do authors call that? Oh yeah, an HEA, Happy ever after, or whatever. Sadly, not for you. Which means I'm going to be seeing Justin again. Any last words you want me to tell him? Devine laughed, which to Eric was the last straw. But before he could do anything, the ship, which now had made it to the reef, slammed into it, causing the ship to lift even more out of the water, which had Devine trying to counterbalance himself, making Eric jump up with everything he had left, like a quarterback on the field, taking Devine out, flying backwards towards the very end of the ship, the gun flying out of the hand as Eric landed on top of Devine. Eric was not a violent person, has never landed a hand on anyone in his life, but yet he was now punching him over and over and over again, only to have a hand grab his wrist mid-punch. Eric, that's enough, son, the chief said as he let go of Eric's arm and stepped back as Eric just looked at him. This guy has caused so much death, destruction, total chaos, thinking to himself as a way to justify the reason behind beating the guy senseless. Removing himself off of Devine and stepping back, he refocused as he and the chief looked around now that the ship was starting to lean very badly, not realizing Devine was standing, holding the gun again. Well, trying anyways. Hearing the click of the gun, Eric turned to see Devine trying to stand with the gun in his hand. At this point, Eric had enough. "Isn't it time you get off my ship?" he said as he swung around and kicked Devine in the stomach, causing him to fly up and over the railing. Eric watched as Devine fell, snapping his head on one of the propeller blades before hitting the water. Didn't look like he was getting up from that. His body just floated lifeless in the sea. Eric, just standing there, couldn't believe he just did that. However, acting in self-defense to save not only the ship from a madman, also himself and others, felt right. "Eric, we need to go. Now that the ship has stopped, it's like the Penny May all over again. It's time to get off and see what happens from here," motioning for Eric to help him with the life raft. "You're right. There's no reason to stay on board. We can use the flare gun on the raft." Eric and the chief were off the boat and in the raft in no time. Took less time now that they were not moving, and because the ship was rolling to one side due to the hole and the reef. This is the part that reminded him of his last ship. The same image of a large ship in front of him, which made him feel so tiny, was now getting smaller itself as they drifted away. Not before the chief fired off a flare, hoping to catch someone in the area. 2 hours, and only needing to use one flare, Eric and the chief were rescued the same way Justin and Chance had been saved. Yet there was no helicopter. It was a ship that was sent. Eric and the chief, who were safely on board, wrapped in blankets and brought inside for something to drink. Eric, besides the bump on his head, was fine. The only thing on his mind was Justin. After questioning from the Coast Guard while en route to Port-au-Prince, it's all he thought about. Justin. He knew he was safe with Chance as he was briefed about the status of passengers and crew who were able to get off, which included a rescue of 2 males and a female in a life raft. One described with dark red hair and blue eyes. Yep, that's my Justin. He was also told that a representative from Majestic Cruises would meet with him at the local hotel. which he didn't want to do. He wanted sleep, food, and of course, to see Justin. Not in that order. Justin first. Both Gunnar and Eric were shuttled to the hotel after being checked out at the port by local EMTs, cleaning up the cut on his head and making sure that nothing else was sore, broke, or needing immediate attention. Finally, cleared and walking into the hotel where he would check in. However, the company rep stopped him before he could reach the front desk. Captain Moore? The guy asked. Yes, that's me. And you are? My name is Donald Bergs. I'm the investigator from Majestic Cruises, and I would like to sit and talk, go over the events that took place, Donald said, as he seemed emotionless. No, is all Eric said in response. I'm sorry. Did you say no? I understand the situation is not ideal, Captain. However, I need your report. And while it's still fresh, I'd like to get that report now, he replied. The answer is no, Mr. Bergs. I just escaped a man who terrorized my passengers, used explosives, killed my bridge and engine crew, tried to kill me, and has damaged my ship that I hope doesn't sink. I'm tired, exhausted, and have nothing good to say about Majestic Cruises at this moment. I have someone I need to see, and if I get stopped one more time, I won't be in a good mood. Now, if you'll excuse me, we will meet later. Captain, I must insist you answer my questions, Donald said with a tone this time. Boy, this guy has no clue what state of mind I'm in right now, and he's going to find out, Eric thought as he stepped dead, turning around to face Donald, who gulped as he started to walk backwards, now that Eric was walking towards him. Mr. Bergs, if you say one more thing to me at this moment, they will be removing that report from where the sun doesn't shine. Now get out of my way. I will find you when I'm ready, Eric said, squinting his eyes at him, which had poor Donald scurrying out of the way. After finding the information on which room Justin was in, he was on his way, finally, to see Justin. Taking the elevator up to the 3rd floor and remembering that he was in room 315, the doors opened, and reading the sign ahead of him for rooms 301 through 320, which meant that he had to take a left and down the hallway. There, in front of him, was room 315, Justin's room. Should he walk in? No, you knock, you idiot. So when he went to knock, the door opened, and had Chance doing a double take to make sure he was seeing what he was seeing. Then a large smile on his face broke out. I'm so glad to see you. Yet someone is a mess right now, and I think you would make the best medicine. Stepping aside for Eric to come into the room, Chance told him he was held up in the bedroom and wouldn't come out. Chance believed it was because recent events might have caused some trauma. Justin, hey, there's someone here to see you. You want to come out and see what they want? No, I don't want to answer any more questions. Go away, he replied, trying to get the words out, but yet he was obviously crying. The captain would like to see you, Justin. You're not going to make him wait, are you? Chance, trying not to just burst and yell Eric's name. Captain of what? The Coast Guard? I already spoke